Okay.
Okay.
Got it. There we go. Sorted. It's being recorded. So.
Excellent. Welcome back to the Stew Simpson Show podcast. And we're now in the fourth season. And to kick us off this season, let me quickly tell the audience a little bit about the season. The first season was on creativity. Second season was all about spirituality. The third season was all the Camino de Santiago. And now we're all going a little bit queer, darlings. It's all about le yes, LGBTQIA plus, and today our special guest to kick off this season is Tony O'Connell. Hello, Tony.
Hey, thank you for having me today. So,
Do you like Tony, or do you prefer Talk, or what?
it's
What are your
anything
pronouns as well?
really. Yeah, most people call me Talk, and there's a story behind that, but I won't. I won't share. That's it. Yeah, Talk's fine. Yeah.
Cool, excellent. And as it's the I should sort of launch into the season properly. What is this? Are your pronouns?
He, him. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Because that's a big thing these days, isn't it? We have to get the pronouns right. It's
Yeah.
it's important.
No, no.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you're here to talk about LGBTQIA plus stuff and what you do. And I believe you also got an exhibition coming up because you're an artist.
Yeah, amazing opportunity. There's a fantastic local gallery, Kirby Gallery, which is in the Knowsley Borough, and they have invited me into an exhibition called Five, which is essentially five artists every 5 years. It promotes
Yeah.
art. No, actually, weirdly, we've got six artists in our five this year because we've got.
Oh, excellent.
He's an artist who's actually Roger is working on in the stairwell, and his work is amazing. So it's wonderful to have him with us as well. Still called five, but actually technically there's six of us. So yeah, the other
Is that Kurt? Where's that?
so Kirby is just on the edge of Liverpool, and um, it's a very working class community. It's often kind of financial deprivation, and it's the central government really don't like Liverpool, and they particularly don't like small areas around Liverpool.
Hmm.
I can't believe that the amount of work that they do as this kind of cultural gem they've set up, which is that Degar and all kinds of amazing exhibitions on. And the woman who kind of organises that is a powerhouse, Tina, is an amazing person. And she
Excellent.
gathered these artists together, really different practices, all very, very different. And we'll kind of are making this exhibition together. So yeah, really proud of it.
Excellent. Are you the only LGBTQIA plus person?
As a
Yeah.
nerd, because a lot of, I mean, I suppose my work is quite issue led, and it's quite about that. So that's, um, but so we're looking at Alan's work is very landscape based, and it's very rich and textural and
Yeah.
dark and seductive. And then we've got like right to the other end, we've got kind of Sophie, who's a real abstract expressionist, and it isn't, doesn't to me look issue led, looks very much formal and color, very vivid, fierce
Yeah.
color. So in the middle, we've got this weird kind of um, queer triptych of crucifixions, which are referenced from Bible imagery,
Yeah.
um, which kind of all my work does really. So and you can
Excellent. Well, we were both brought
yeah,
up Catholics. Yeah, I can see that. And you got a bit of Caravaggio going on in the background. So we're both massive fans of Derek Jarman.
yeah,
So
those Germans.
there's Derek. I see. Yeah, yeah. I see that. We've got an awful lot in common by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Um, so did you study fine art?
I studied sculpture at Staffordshire, and I'm a very inverted snob, and I wanted to go to Stoke Poly, and have a very working class experience, and
Yeah.
of course they changed all the names, so I applied to Stoke Poly, and over the summer I got the letter saying you've been accepted to Staffordshire University, darling. So
Damn it.
no, I wanted. I was like, go to Stoke Poly.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I did mine in Carlisle, and but because I didn't get allowed into my first choice, I think, which was Manchester,
Yeah.
because my work was too gay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was all a bit.
Manchester.
It was too. I was like, so that was like early 90s. I was like, Manchester, really?
Yeah.
Seriously, it's Manchester.
What was going on in Manchester at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, so that was a went. Oh no, sorry, I tell a lie. It was Leeds, so that might make a
Yeah.
difference.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
notoriously straight leads.
notoriously, absolutely. There's nothing gay going on in Leeds whatsoever. So, anyways, enough about me. Tell me how your story. How did this all come about? Where were you brought up and all that? What's your backstory?
Well, obviously, I kind of we mentioned that we both kind of grew up Catholic, and that was a so if I put that in the context of Liverpool, that really means an Irish working class community,
Yeah,
and I think I grew up quite naive, and I thought that the church was necessarily a force for good in the world, and you get told that every Sunday. Um, and then when I read Leviticus, particularly when I realized the kind of um, the strange obsession that the Catholic Church had with people like me, and why everybody was going to heaven except me. It was a bit of a kick in the teeth for a kid who
mm,
grown up under Clause 28 and Thatcher, and
yeah,
all kind of. I mean, this, that the on an equal age of consent, and not allowed to join the army, and not allowed to donate blood, and not allowed to adopt
yeah,
kids. All that shit was going on. Um, some part of me thought, well, there must be this moment of truth and goodness and compassion. And I imagined it was a church, and when it turned out it wasn't, it was a huge kick in the teeth, and it shaped me in quite a dark way. It kind of led to
yeah,
depression for a long time, and it was a very difficult period of. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, really. Feeling rejected by the idea of God, by goodness
mm,
itself,
yeah,
and so I had to really reconstruct my life after that, and it was very much a working class experience again of going on marches and joining political kind of groups, and thinking that kind of worldly answer was exactly what I was looking for, and it really was.
mm,
Until I accidentally met a Buddhist nun,
yeah,
then that changed me completely again.
yeah,
So, yeah. So currently, I think the work is a heady cocktail of a kind of
mhm.
um, socialism, uh, a commitment to Buddhism and ritual.
Oh
And
wow,
that means, and kind of the underneath layers of things like it almost there's an element of performance art in ritual, and I think it's fascinating that
mhm.
we can tell stories, or we can have a narrative context which is appeals directly to the emotion without logic in the way art does. Um, and so I kind of hijack that. So you use a lot of ritual in the work as well. So don't just make the painting. Like the painting I'm using at the moment, I use. We were donated this amazing set of materials by a woman who was an iconographer, and it was things like real powdered lapis lazuli and powdered turquoise and things
Oh
that
wow,
like semi precious,
yeah,
and they survived through an experience where we had during COVID with the landlords that we were using to store the stuff through all our stuff out and just end up in a skip in the rain.
mhm.
And these jars of precious stuff somehow survived that. So I thought I wanted to honor that and use that in the current work. And the idea being that it was a precious thing, I would mix it to make a glaze, in the way Renaissance painters would. Uh, Instead of just using the material, I wanted to mix it with powdered frankincense and holy water and blood, and
Mm.
so that the meaning of the work wasn't so much what you could see. It was
Yeah.
what went into it, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes an awful lot of sense. So it's, but we coming back to strange similarities. When I was at university studying fine art, my best friend in university at the time has since become a Buddhist nun.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
Is it,
it's weird. It makes a lot of sense. It's kind of
so,
it,
well, again, there's an awful lot. I guess there's an awful lot. There's a lot of ritual in the Catholic Church, and
yeah,
there's also an awful lot of ritual in Buddhism as well. So there's some sort of like magic or idea of that sort of there's the supernatural which kind of
yeah.
comes into play, and obviously all the theatre of the Catholic Church and the theatre of Buddhism and the same. And if
It's
that's not going to appeal to a
it's
gay man, I mean, seriously, it's like they've
I
got the
love
best
it.
clothes.
Yeah.
Have they not got the best costumes?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and yeah, yeah. I remember going to a friend of mine got ordained as a vicar in the Church of England, and I went to his ordination, and it was got to be the gayest event I've ever been to. It was full on rhinestones and sequins. It was amazing, and yeah, wow.
Elton would have been proud.
Oh yeah, 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 totally. Yeah, yeah. so yeah, there's all that going on, and I kind of I deliberately make work. This is weird, isn't it? So I've been a Buddhist since 1995, and but I still make work about Catholicism, and the original language, the kind of the language that you grow up with is the most powerful visual I think that you can. So although Buddhism it makes complete logical sense to me and is a compassionate, warm thing that doesn't reject queer people. I'm not really talking about that because I'm talking about what does reject queer people, and
Yeah,
I'm kind of
yeah.
want to redress that. So I like to subvert their own language, and I use saints, and I use pilgrimages, and I use offerings, and I use. I'll just show you this while I'm talking.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this weirdly this lives in our living room. Um, this is uh, this is a triptych. Uh,
Oh wow, it's beautiful.
it's on the it's on cherry wood, but they were closet doors, and I thought it was really interesting that these closet doors were.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course.
I made this thing for the kids who were killed at the Pulse nightclub massacre. So all of them protected by saints. Uh, and that was I don't know you know that was a Hispanic night, so most of those kids were Catholic as well. And a lot of the parents only found out that they were gay when they were identifying the bodies. And so it was a
Wow,
so yeah, I kind of
that's
wanted to make
really
a tribute
brilliant.
to them.
Pardon?
I wanted to make a tribute to them, and obviously that's like so the work is clearly is political, but it's subverting religious imagery, uh,
Yeah.
reclaiming it a little bit. Yeah.
And did you think through your work perhaps that you've managed to come to terms with your sexuality a bit and your relationship with the church, not specifically God, but um, the ideas of the Catholic Church?
Yeah, it's really cathartic. I think. I mean, it it started off as a really kind of secular, very secular, and after like Buddhism is quite an atheist tradition. I don't believe in a god. I don't believe in a lot of supernatural stuff. I'm not
Mhm.
interested in that. And I certainly don't believe in it as a justification for oppressing groups of people.
Absolutely, yes.
So so subverting that language, it starts off as a secular fuck you, really. It was the deliberate. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I don't want to say that on your
Oh,
podcast.
that's absolutely. I don't think we'll. It's not a problem. We don't have that many listeners.
But you'll have less now.
And we've had swearing before. It's absolutely fine.
So yeah, that kind of how it starts off, and weirdly it turned into quite a genuine um, catharsis, but a genuine spiritual investigation. So the work when the work became about it involved ritual, and I was, I'd sometimes clean my brushes using a mix of holy water and tap water, so it was
Yeah,
felt like I was each action it was really in the way ritual does it put me in a headspace which was about doing what I was doing to the best of my ability, and there's nothing supernatural about it. It was connecting a set of symbols which made sense to me in the way you would
mhm,
with any art actually, and making them into something that that developed a language, I suppose.
yeah. Sorry, the bit of ADHD kicking in. I've got that book in the background, the Clash one. It's lovely. It's great.
It is.
Big fan, big fan. So were you out at university when you
Oh
were
yeah,
when you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I was making. I came out. So I studied foundation, and foundation, as you know, is a 1 year course, and it's funded for me. And I got away with doing it for 3 years because I just fell in love with it, and I couldn't
yeah,
get away from it. And I didn't really want to go to university, but I'd already come out, so the work had started to go in that direction on foundation.
yeah.
By the time I got to university, it was very. This is like pre-Buddhism. It was very secular, very. It was a lot to do with the failure to fund research into AIDS, and how that was a deliberate thing, and how it was effectively, like a Holocaust. Uh,
Mhm.
People
Yeah, yeah,
being allowed to die because they were inconvenient for the government, and it's kind of Republican wet dream, really, wasn't it? It was just this thing that you can blame on gay people and drug users, and you can say it comes from Africa, and it's
yeah.
everyone they hated. They could just go, yeah, we'll just sit back and let everyone die. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an absolute. It was a gift for the right wing, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And weirdly, just before it hit, it felt like as a community we were making real progress, and it felt like things were getting a lot. If you look back to the kind of music at the time, like we had people like Depeche Mode who weren't, who were kind of straight-ish,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
wearing leather skirts on stage, or kind of playing with all that imagery and master and servant and all that kind of stuff. But you also had like Boy George and the Communards and Madeline and all that kind of stuff going on as well as disco and house music and
Yeah.
yeah.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and
He was a Hollywood. I mean, what a genius! Yeah, Holly Johnson, what a star. So yeah, there was all
yeah,
that going on, and then because AIDS hit, and you get this sense that everything's pushed back, and people are suddenly afraid again, and people consider other people's sexuality as diseased or dirty or frightening.
well, it absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 50. How old am I? I'm 53. I'm 54 this year coming. So.
Yeah. I'm just a little bit younger. So when I was starting to come to terms with my sexuality and through the Catholic Church as well, I was AIDS was hitting, and it
Yeah.
was like that whole advert, the big with the gravestone and everything. So at the same time as I was just like, I'm gay, and God is going to send me to hell for being who I am.
Yeah.
Um,
Trauma.
uh,
Trauma.
Oh, the trauma! It's absolutely horrible. But then I was so then the media was telling me that I was going to die a painful death and then
Yeah.
go to hell and burn forever for something which wasn't
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
choice.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
was no, it was absolutely. It was just a horrible time to be a young gay person,
Yeah.
and somebody who sort of being an artist as well, being quite sensitive.
Yeah.
Um, but then the works of people like, pardon?
You take on all that language, so the stuff that you're being. I mean, as you know, as you said, artists process the world differently, and I think you and I are both ADHD as well. So
Yeah.
we, we we're sensitive to rejection. We focus on detail. We get lost in big narratives, and all of that is I don't know whether that I mean, have you ever thought about this? Do you think the ADHD came first, or do you think it's a resultant neuro
I
effect
have
of
wondered. Yeah.
puberty?
I have wondered about it. I mean, I really, really don't understand which came first, if it was a result of the way I've been treated, or if it's. But I mean, the science leads to it saying it feels more convenient for it to be part of the brain function. Really,
Yeah,
I'd rather not blame the things that I've been through for the ADHD.
yeah,
If you know what I mean. But I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist and I'm not a neuroscientist either. But all I know is my experience and to where I'm at. But it is interesting that we've both come through very similar things. And actually, that the interest that I think you've got a picture of Lee Bowery there as well. Is that painting Lee Bowery?
that's a painting. I was that's actually it's a poor painting, but it's my partner. So.
Ah, right.
Teaching
Um,
teaching painting a while ago, and I had to learn how to paint.
oh, cool.
That's the scary thing
You're
when
very
you study sculpture.
So I think it's interesting that we both had very similar experiences, but also the work and the music that we're both interested in are very similar.
Yeah,
So it's because we're both northern, working class, from a Catholic background,
yeah,
artists who are neurodivergent. It's fascinating just to see, and the only big difference, not even a huge difference, is just about a decade in between. And that's not even, I think that's even, is that the Kirk journals as well in the background?
oh
So
yeah,
I'm keeping distracted by a bookshelf.
yeah. You probably got the same book up there. If you
Uh,
pan,
So,
it might be the same room actually.
as an audio podcast, people will be going, he keeps going off topic from the things that she's looking at. It's terrible.
Sorry, I put a wall of assault behind me. Haven't I?
Yeah.
Should have put
So,
the thin white wall, and it would have been.
so for the audience who are listening to the first episode of this podcast in a long time, because I've taken a break, this is all very unprepared. We're both neurodivergent, and there has been no prep or any questions at all. So we're winging it, and it seems to
Yeah,
be rather fun. So
celebrate
right,
spontaneity.
absolutely. So what's happened? What happens next? Are you? I mean, you're obviously. It seems to me you're very comfortable with who you are. And has it taken a long time to
As
to
yeah, yeah.
get there?
Yeah, and it's still. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier on about that kind of trauma, and and it is a trauma. I think it's. I mean, there's a real term is post-religious trauma. So, a lot of LGBT people who've experienced, I've got a friend who was brought up Jehovah's Witness, and she's had exactly the same experience. And I think a lot of us have had our world schemas or understanding of reality stripped away, and we've had to rebuild it ourselves. So it's no
Yeah.
wonder similarities actually, because there's only a certain number of ways you can do that, and we're doing it. But yeah, I mean, I am. I think years of like I taught foundation for 20 years, so you get to be okay at talking to people, and you get to be comfortable with kicking
Mm.
ideas around. But it doesn't. I'm also still, I think, really prone to like bleak negative thinking. When when something goes wrong, I'll catastrophize, and I'll
Yeah.
think that's the end of the world, and that's obviously a disaster, and that's my fault, and that's it. And I think those things are programmed in. If you're told you'll have a painful death and you go to hell, so
Mm.
part of you, part of your reality, really, and you can't not make work about it. If you're being honest when you're an artist, you can't not make work about it. You've
Yeah.
got, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. But
Yeah. I still wonder. I know it's interesting that feedback because it's because I'm a musician as well as a visual artist at the moment. But for the last few years, I've been mostly concentrating on my music, but the music and the lyrics that I always go back to it's things like Nirvana, the Cult, not the Cult,
yeah,
the Cure.
yeah,
It's all very kind of Joy Division, and Depeche Mode. It's all that kind of quite dark stuff.
yeah,
Um, but the Catholicism has to play into that.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
it's
you talked about
it's not
being
logical.
sorry.
This is not logical. It's about emotion, and I mean that might be why we're artists as well, or creators, because we deal in a language of emotion. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you talk. So do you meditate every day as well?
I do, yeah, and that's if anyone, it's not part of a religious tradition. If anyone isn't sure about it, give it a go for 6 weeks, and it'll absolutely change your brain. It's an amazing thing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I meditate a lot. I was part of originally part of the Kadam Buddhist tradition, which are just wonderful people, and they got a really bad press, and people said they were a cult and everything. And
Yeah.
actually, I only met kindness and tolerance in them, and loads of them, people in that sangha were all gay. Yeah. Oh, loads of them were gay. And
My friend who's the Buddhist nun, she's from the Kadampa tradition.
yeah, yeah, it's an amazing, it's a very kind of clipped and logical and Tibetan. But then I moved over to the Western Buddhist tradition, and they ran specific retreats so it went on their gay men's retreat in London, and it was a 2-dayer, and it literally undid like years worth of nightmare, in 2 days. I
Wow.
couldn't believe it. Like,
Yeah.
so and everybody, it was such a kind of rich experience as well. There must have been about 15 men on it, and everybody just swore we were going to keep in touch after it. Yeah. And of course life moves on and you don't, but
Yeah.
it meant a lot, in that short space of time. It meant a lot, and it did heal a lot as well. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Was it some of the rituals which were part of the healing, or was it the meditation which you think that might have helped with the brain chemistry?
It's both, I think. The meditation was enormously useful, and finding a context where you actually addressing compassion directly, and you're thinking about how can I improve my own compassion, how can I see qualities in other people. um so it's not I think that, like Catholicism, a lot of the ritual is camp and glorious and visual and everything. It doesn't actually hit you emotionally that much. It doesn't, you kind of go through these things, and you see people yawn and everything. But within Buddhism, it has it's a direct, it's a tool, for changing the way you think. So it's used very practically, very pragmatically, and I love that. So I know a lot of people who've grown up Catholic couldn't do things like prostrations, which is where you kind of, you bow or lie down in front of a statue, and it sounds completely ridiculous, but it's incredibly calm, and actually it just it stops the ego like that. It stops all the worry, and it just puts you in a headspace where I know the statue is made out of metal. I know it's not the Buddha in front of me, and yet emotionally it is, and that's much more real, I think.
Yeah, because I tried Buddhism for a while, because of my friend. But I came to TM, to Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah,
So I do that twice a day. I do that in the morning 20 minutes and in the evening for 20 minutes, and just sort of it seems to really help with my ADHD as well. It seems to kind of
absolutely.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It does. It's
so
a
help.
reason focus, I think. So
Yeah.
weirdly, I mean, this I've often said I teach a lot of life drawing at the moment, and the only thing that feels like meditating is drawing. It's the
Yes.
same, it's the same tuned in headspace where you don't worry about the gas bill when you're in the middle of making a drawing. In fact, you lose track of time a lot. Yeah. Particularly if you're out drawing landscape or something, it's a very connected experience. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
time blindness isn't it's really interesting, especially when it kind of comes to when you're making artwork. Because I can start. We were myself and my partner were in Italy and went to see. There was a big ceiling, anyways. It wasn't Michelangelo. I can't remember the name of the artist, but I was just absolutely fascinated by these paintings. It was a Catholic church, and I thought I was there for half an hour. Um, Apparently, I was there on the floor drawing for 3 hours.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I totally believe it.
It's
Yeah,
like the time is just gone. And there is that meditative side of art which it comes easily as a child, but then it kind of gets bashed out of you as
yeah,
school happens in the education system. And then you get the rules of perspective and color and shape,
yeah,
and you have to get those things in there. If And it kind of takes the joy. And when I meet other adults who say, "I can't draw," I'm like, "Well, can you put a pen on a bit of paper?" And they're
yeah.
like, "Well, yeah, well, congratulations, keep going. You can
Sure.
draw."
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how many. I mean, I think you've hit on something there. So this is part of my teaching practice that I often teach adults who've retired, and an amazing amount of adults who've retired said, "Oh, I always wanted to be an artist or some." And I have quite a large so a lot of retired women actually. And it's often some man who helpfully says early on in their life, well, that's not very good, or that's not worth doing, or don't carry on with that, and it spins your life in a direction where you get to retirement and you think, I wish I'd done the thing I wanted to do. Yeah. I wish
Mm.
I'd enjoyed the things that I wanted to do. I'm not saying that people don't enjoy their life without art, but it's amazing how many people come to it after retirement and go, now I'm doing the thing that I'm choosing to do. Yeah. Rather than earning money, I'm doing the thing I'm choosing to do.
Yeah, it's a very, very odd thing. I really feel as if for me, it's a double-edged sword. Like art and music and creativity have kind of given me so much, but at the same time, it's also taken a lot as well. So,
Yeah,
because I've tried to go and have a proper job,
yeah,
and within 3 or 4, I only got diagnosed with ADHD about 2 years ago. And actually, that made an awful lot of sense and stuff because I wasn't able to hold down a proper job that would last 3 or 4 months. And
yeah,
then I'd be coming home at the end of a shift and painting or drawing or writing a song till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, then
yeah.
having to get up at 7 and then go back and do. So I'd
Totally.
end up burning out really quickly.
My pattern as well, yeah. And but when I mean, I have to say that the difference for me, but when I taught foundation, I did manage to do that for well, just under 20 years, 19 and a bit years. And the reason why that was successful for me was because it was a playground of making art, and it was with a team of amazing creatives. One of the other lecturers there left and set up the independent art school in Liverpool. So that's what I do now because I will never have another boss. So I won't. I reject that idea now because it became so corporate and so
Mm,
toxic and a horrible environment. All the lectures left, all of the artists left. I think I walk past that building now, and I probably know one person, maybe two
wow.
people in there, and there was a team of like I used to know over 100 people in there, and everybody
Mm,
just got sick of the thing that wasn't the creative aspect of it. It was all the form filling and all the data
yeah.
justification and the funding and yeah,
So tell us more about the independent art school. I've never heard of that.
so we set up so there's an amazing guy, one of the artists, Paul Gatenby, is from Five, is a friend, and we've known each other for a long time, and he taught at the college, and he set up the Liverpool Urban Sketchers, which was this really kind of inclusive group of people who would meet up for free and go out and just draw the environment. And because of the degree I did, I thought they'd be, yeah, conceptual sculpture. We'll tell you what proper art is, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They're really, really, really lovely people. So, and a lot of them are actually are our artists now for the independent art school. So, when we set that up, we wanted to do something that was the fun of art college, and the chaos of it, and the creativity of it, and none of the nonsense, because we've just seen how badly it goes. When you try and make it a form filling exercise, and so Paul retired last year from the independent art school. Now we've got 4 staff, and we've got a website, and we're delivering sessions left, right, and centre. And it's probably we're delivering sessions for Kirby Gallery and Urban Sketching, and I think that might be one of the reasons why we got invited, because they already knew that our work was, that we were very committed to what we were doing and very serious about it. Um, so yeah, again, just to go back to that exhibition, it's such those artists. Each one of them is really different. Alan, Natalie, Paul, and to have Roger there as well, and Sophie, the abstract painter. All of them are amazing artists. So I feel really like I've got a bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
Like,
hate that.
I'm in the room with proper artists now.
Yeah.
uh,
And the irony is that they're probably in the same boat and in the same headspace, kind of going, I'm in the room with proper artists. And
all
everybody,
artists kill it, yeah.
so many people have, especially with artists who've just got that insecurity.
Yeah. But it's weird, isn't it? Because we I think if we, like, if I was to be a stranger and to see my work and I'd never seen it before, I'd go, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah, I understand it. But yeah, somehow when you're making it yourself, I think it's we have, and this is particularly maybe a neurodivergent thing as well, but we we have an idea in our head about what it's supposed to be like, how perfect it's supposed to be, and we never quite scratch that itch. And if we did, we'd probably stop making art because we'd have done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
think with my practice, I got to a point, just the way that I paint and draw a long time ago. I've not done any performance art for a while, which I would like to do because I've got like a queer project in London, musical slash art thing called Big Boys Camp,
yeah,
where we do performance art meets music, and yeah, and we're both from sort of Christian backgrounds, and it's really quite experimental and fun. Oh, damn it, I've lost my point. What was I saying?
oh, I can't see inside your head, so
Ah!
I'm trying to
So I'm talking about arty things, anyways. Um, oh yes, my process. That was it. So I kind of I've come to my starting point generally is that there isn't an end point in mind. So I don't have an idea what it's going to look like. So I kind of like, this is where for me where my background, because I considered being a priest and all that sort of stuff with
yeah,
the Catholic faith, and through all that type of thing. So the process of the ritual and all that sort of thing, I get into that headspace, that meditative space,
yeah,
and kind of just let it flow and sit. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be. And sometimes music happens like that as well. And I kind of, for me, that process that takes off an awful lot of pressure, but it also adds to the imposter syndrome thing as well.
yeah,
Because of the other artists that I know are just like kind of like, I know exactly what I want to do, and that's how it should be. And if it doesn't turn out, then that's not perfect or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So the thing that stops, loads of people when it comes to life drawing classes, that they'll say, I want the drawing to be perfect. And like last night, it was really snowy and horrible here, and people came out when they could have stayed on the couch, and it was already perfect before they'd even put a mark on the paper. That was it. That was the perfection they needed.
Ah, brilliant.
And so whatever happened after that was just a bonus, really. But and I understand that from a teaching standpoint, but I still um I think emotionally you still have a certain thing in your head, and sometimes I mean I'm actually really satisfied at the current work, but if I'm honest, I know that if I'd had another 6 weeks on it, I would have still been painting. I
Mhm.
would kept changing and kept altering and kept adjusting and kept adding, and it makes me think maybe there is no end point. Maybe the end point is a deadline, and that's all. That's the only end point you can get. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I think when it comes to my paintings and drawings and stuff, I normally it's a feeling I get. I go, oh, okay,
Yeah, that's it.
that's it. There have been times when I've not listened to that and I've continued and I've fucked it up
Oh,
because it's
totally.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish
So,
practical art was like Photoshop, where you can just press go back and
yeah, yeah.
undo the thing that you do. Or life, actually. I wish life was like that.
But so, that's an interesting point because I sometimes think that musically and artistically, I love work where the mistakes kind of the imperfections make it more perfect.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like Nirvana's probably my favorite band of all
yeah,
time, and Kurt didn't know what he was doing half the time. He was an artist in the painter
yeah,
and all the rest of it, and had issues obviously. Um, and I love work where people don't know what's going to happen, and it's not perfect, and there's something about that which kind of the exploration of life. which you
yeah,
don't get with Photoshop and life and AI and all the type of thing. It's because that's the human element, that's the spiritual element, and that's why
yeah.
work like Derek Jarman just resonates. Even the stuff he did on Super 8, because it's still technology,
Yeah,
but
they've got all the Super 8 books there as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's that chemistry, it's a literally literal chemistry with light and the chemicals on a film,
yeah,
and how you can't predict those sorts of things. So it's our connection of who we are as people, and we're the conduit for some sort of um, something unfolding in the universe.
yeah. I think you can have a conversation with your materials instead of trying to force what it must be. You open with an opening gambit, and the materials open. Well, we want to do this, and you kind of end up with something in the middle. But
Yeah,
when I was teaching, teaching foundation, I used to have a Picasso quote on the wall behind me, and it said something along the lines of, "If you know what you're going to do before you do it, what's the point in doing it?" And I think what he meant by that was like the process itself is the action, and we find out the result of it by doing it. We can't go from point A to point B and miss out all of the journey in the middle. Yeah, so,
yeah.
yeah.
That's excellent. Well, I hope eventually one day you and I could probably do this pilgrimage to Derek's house in
Dungeon.
Dungeness.
Yeah. That's, I mean,
Yeah, if
that's part of a set of like I went to I took my mum to San Francisco years ago and got over before we lost her, and she was always a hippie, and she'd done without, she had no money for all of her life, yeah. And I took her to San Francisco, and I wanted it for her, and when I got there, I thought, all right, do some work, because you're in, so I went to the Harvey Milk Memorial and made prostrations and offerings, and laid out bowls of water and incense and everything.
yeah, yeah.
And it was raining, and I was making prostrations in the rain on the floor, and all the San Franciscans were coming out of the station, and just kind of going, yeah, because it's San Francisco, and that was okay, yeah. And then I started doing pilgrimages. So yeah, one day if we get the chance to go to Dungeness and make offerings of lapis lazuli at Derek
Ah,
Jarman's,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, gold leaf something for him or whatever.
I could see if my friend Kel wants to come along. Kel was the one of the sisters of perpetual indulgence.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she was also in Big Boys Camp for a brief moment,
yeah,
but now she identifies as a woman. Doesn't feel as if Big Boys Camp represents her anymore, which
yeah.
is okay. Cool. We're still really good friends, and hopefully she might want to come to the Dungeness and relive some of our youth.
Yeah. We know one of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence up this end, Jez Dolan, is an amazing guy, and he ran a workshop a while ago during the Jarman show in Manchester, and
Oh
he
wow!
did the reliquary building workshop. And as soon as I saw it come up, I must have harassed him every day, and I was messaging him all the time saying, "When's the day for that? When's the day for that?" And as soon as they released it, I booked onto it, because I just thought, I can't. A Derek Jarman exhibition reliquary building workshop. It's like it's built for me.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Excellent. So if people want to see more of your work, where can they look?
So at the moment, I'm archiving a lot of sketchbook on Instagram. So that's under John Barleycorn and John Barleycorn Reborn when they messed that account up. Yeah, that's about sketchbook, which is a really important part of my practice, and kind of log and journal and recording ideas as a. And you and I both know that the brain struggles to hold on to things. So if you pour it into an external hard drive in a bound book, and you pretend it's one of Jarman's sketchbooks, then it feels like the right way to do it.
I've got shelves and shelves and shelves of other things.
yeah, I've run out of room for them really. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I do is a sketchbook rather than the finished outcome. So those Instagram pages are about that, and they give an insight into kind of what I'm doing and why. But I do record finished outcomes on it as well. Yeah,
Yeah, send me the links. I'll put them in the description
yeah,
so
that'd be
people
great. Yeah.
can follow all that. And where's this exhibition of five on at the moment?
So
On
five
Kirby.
on from the 22nd of January through to the 30th of March at the Kirby Centre, which is Kirby Gallery, and it's uh, it's a really good gallery. It's quite a modern building, and it's on one side of it is the library, and the other side is the gallery. And as I say, they've got people like Quentin Blake and really amazing kind of and they had the likeness of things on a while ago, which was some really kind of influential Liverpool painters that I taught lessons about, and there they are exhibiting it.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's a real privilege to work with them. Amazing gallery, and I'm so proud to be with the artists I'm with. So yeah, amazing. Yeah. So I don't
Excellent.
get these opportunities very often.
Oh, and you said you wanted to give a shout out to somebody before we round things up.
Yeah, so we've got really just, I mean, just I suppose just to the gallery and to Tina for this amazing level of help. I mean, there's a lot of times when her and Joe have been sitting desperately trying to do admin and catch up, and with local government funding, we know that's going to be a tricky thing. And there they are sitting doing the work, and they'll let me come in to add like a little bit more gold leaf, or so they don't treat the artists they work with as a distraction at all. They treat them as like part of the experience. So for them, but also for like Natalie, who's amazing, and Paul, who, I mentioned earlier on, set up the independent art school with me, and Alan, who's landscape I want to buy, but I've got no money.
Yeah.
And Sophie, who's great, and the vibrancy of her colour is remarkable. So all of those artists, Jerry, who's shown with me, I'm just really proud to be with them. So I just want to honour them a little bit.
Excellent. Where can I get some gold leaf? Because I've got like some application paint I've been given from a friend from Big Boys Camp for, and I want some put. So if you've got any tips,
Yeah.
where can I get gold leaf?
I'll send you the link when I get off. I actually got mine off eBay, and it's absolutely brilliant stuff. It's a small set, but it's real. It's not like it's not a fake gold leaf. It's real gold, and
Well,
it's because it's small sheet. It's easy to apply. It's easy to handle, and I've learned a lot by using this set. And so I'll send you that link when I get off. Yeah.
excellent. So I think there's a couple of paintings which I've done slightly sort of or iconic-y
Yeah,
recently, so that could do with a little bit of gold in there. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's been wonderful. Thank you. I know we kind of like waffled and we found out a little bit about each other and a bit more about art and how our processes are extremely similar.
yeah.
Um, Maybe we could collaborate someday.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Always looking for other crazy disciples out there. So.
Right. Yes, I do like a pilgrimage, so because I did the Camino de Santiago last year, yeah, before, yeah, it was quite a thing.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list.
It is really fun. So, well, I suppose it makes sense to say namaste.
Namaste. Yeah, I salute the divinity within you and all your listeners. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doc. It was absolutely it's been wonderful, and enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of your life and your heart.
Sancha, cheers.
Lots of love. Bye.